In the labyrinth of American politics, money not only talks, it screams. The enduring saga of the rich and poor within the United States has etched deep lines not only through society, but also through its political parties. Let's embark on an exploration of these divides, particularly focusing on how economic disparities within the Democratic and Republican parties shape policies and political rhetoric. It seeks to uncover the paradoxes where affluent members of both parties benefit from policies seemingly at odds with their public stances. While the age-old adage suggests that Republicans cater to the wealthy and Democrats to the working class, recent trends and election results paint a more complex picture. A closer inspection reveals a nuanced landscape where wealth and policy intersect in unexpected ways across the political spectrum. This divergence not only influences political allegiances, but also policy outcomes affecting millions of Americans. Understanding this divide is crucial for any coherent analysis of American politics. The dichotomy between rich and poor within the Democratic and Republican parties is not just a matter of income, but also of political influence and policy priorities. For the Democrats, there has traditionally been a strong advocacy for social welfare programs and progressive taxation, which ostensibly serve the interests of the lower and middle classes, while pushing that expense bill to their offsprings. However, the influx of wealthy donors and candidates has sometimes led to a blurring of these lines, with economic policies occasionally skewing in favor of the elite. On the other side, the Republican Party, often seen as the bastion of conservatism and big business, faces its own internal contradictions. While it champions free market capitalism and low taxes, which ostensibly benefit the wealthy and encourages others to be productive, its base includes a significant number of economically disadvantaged individuals from rural areas who are drawn by conservative social and future financial policies. This creates a complex web of interests and priorities that can sometimes lead to policy incongruences. The influence of money in politics extends beyond campaign contributions to affect the very core of policy formulation. Studies indicate that legislators often prioritize the preferences of wealthy constituents and donors over those of the average voter, leading to a skewed representation in policy outcomes. This economic stratification within the parties complicates the democratic process, potentially alienating the less affluent and undermining the foundational principles of political equality. Understanding these contrasts is critical for deciphering the motivations behind party policies and rhetoric. As the political landscape continues to evolve, the tension between serving the economic interests of the rich and the needs of the poor remains a central theme in American politics. In recent years, a significant realignment has occurred within the Democratic Party, with an increasing number of affluent voters and donors gravitating towards its ranks. This shift is substantiated by data from various electoral studies, showing a higher percentage of wealthy Americans identifying as Democrats. This alignment might seem paradoxical given the party's historical advocacy for progressive taxation and wealth redistribution policies, which ostensibly would not favor the wealthy. The reasons behind this shift are multifaceted. Some analysts suggest that cultural and social issues such as climate change, healthcare, and human rights are drawing wealthier individuals who may prioritize these issues over strict economic self-interest. Additionally, the globalization of the economy and the growth of technology and finance sectors, where many wealthy Democrats are concentrated, promote a worldview that aligns with the Democratic stance on issues like trade and immigration. Furthermore, the Democratic Party's policies on social welfare and economic regulation are seen by some affluent individuals as contributing to a stable society, which ultimately benefits business and economic growth. This view suggests a more complex calculation of self-interest that includes long-term societal stability as a component of personal and economic well-being. This realignment has significant implications for policy and governance, as it influences the democratic agenda and the legislative priorities. It also raises questions about the party's ability to balance the interests of its increasingly diverse constituents. As we continue to explore the impacts of this shift, it becomes clear that the relationship between wealth and politics is intricate and deeply intertwined with broader societal values and goals. Under Democratic leadership, economic policies have often focused on reducing inequality through progressive taxation, increased social spending, and regulation of industries. Critics of these policies argue they can lead to economic inefficiencies, and stifle entrepreneurial activity. However, proponents believe these measures are crucial for creating a more equitable society and sustainable economy. Historically, Democratic administrations have seen stronger economic growth due to inflation when compared to their Republican counterparts. A study by Princeton University economists reveals that since World War II, the U.S. economy has grown faster during Democratic presidencies. This finding challenges the conventional wisdom that conservative, pro-business policies are always the best for economic growth. Furthermore, Democratic policies that raise the minimum wage and invest in public services are said to boost consumer spending due to price hikes, supporting economic growth. These policies also tackle long-term issues like poverty and economic inequality, which, if ignored, can lead to social and economic instability, evident by current economy of 2024. The impact of these policies on the dollar value and international economic relations is significant. While some argue that increased government spending under Democratic leadership can devalue the dollar, others suggest that these effects are temporary and are outweighed by the long-term benefits of a more stable and equitable economic system. Again, by devaluing the dollar. As we delve deeper into these effects, it becomes apparent that the implications of Democratic economic policies are complex and deceiving, reflecting lack of balance between immediate economic outputs and long-term societal goals. Comparing the financial management of states governed by different parties offers practical insights into how economic policies translate into real-world outcomes. Studies and fiscal reports often present a mixed picture. For example, Democratic-led states like California and New York, amongst others, have experienced strong exodus of business and face challenges like high living costs and fiscal deficits. On the other hand, Republican-led states such as Texas and Florida often boast lower to non-existing taxes and business-friendly environments with job growth potential, but struggle to cater to those who do not want to be productive members of society. These differences highlight the diverging economic philosophies of the two parties and their supporters. Democratic states tend to invest heavily in social services and infrastructure, which can lead to higher taxes, but also higher levels of public service, which is great for immigrants and non-productive members of society. Republican states prioritize low taxes and minimal government intervention, which can stimulate business but might also result in less comprehensive public services that would cater to the same type of individual that plagues the Democratic states. The effectiveness of these approaches can depend heavily on broader economic conditions and the specific industries dominant in those states. As we analyze these case studies, it becomes clear that the success of state-level economic management often reflects a complex interplay of policy decisions, industry profiles, and socioeconomic conditions. This analysis not only sheds light on the practical outcomes of party governance, but also provides a framework for understanding the broader economic debates that shape national policy discussions. The exploration of the economic and political divides within the Democratic and Republican parties reveals a complex landscape where wealth, policy, and ideology intersect in multifaceted ways. This has highlighted how affluent members within both parties often benefit from policies that might seem contradictory to the stated party agendas. It has also shown how political allegiances are increasingly influenced by a combination of economic self-interest and broader societal values. Reflecting on these findings, it is clear that understanding the nuances of these divides is crucial for any meaningful political dialogue and policymaking. If you found this video insightful, please like, subscribe, and share to help us continue bringing you more content like this.